Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. On this episode, we are joined by Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza Podcast.
Back to our history and look at all the positives. It's food, artifacts, and all that make us special and make us who you are. So, yeah, we do need it. It's vital to know Black history.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident Podcast. We are happy to have our most favorite co-host, Sambaza, host and creator of the Sambaza Podcast. He is a two-time nominee for Best African Diasporan Podcast by the APVA, and he is from the Republic of Kenya in East Africa. He has also been a presenter at the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival discussing Pan-Africanism, and he is an ambassador for the 2024 Afros and Audio Podcast Festival. Welcome, Sambaza.
Hey, Jen, how you doing?
Good.
Thank you for having me here. Glad to be here
For sure. Definitely. And happy Juneteenth month. All
Freedom
right.
Day.
And yes. So we will share about that. In this particular episode, we will share a bit about Juneteenth, and we also will recap some of our last 4 episodes since our last recap that we shared with you guys. We will revisit key moments and discussions from the last of those particular 4 episodes since the last recap. As I mentioned, whether you missed an episode or want a refresher, this episode will highlight the main takeaways, memorable quotes, and we're actually going to show some clips. All right, which includes some of the feedback that we received in those episodes. So we ask you to join us as we reflect on the insights shared by our guests and the ongoing themes that weave through our recent conversations. The majority have been on mental health. So I'm definitely glad to reflect on that. And actually, June being Men's Mental Health, I feel like, definitely appropriate that we've had a good number of men who were on those episodes that focused on mental health. Any thoughts on today's show, Sambaza?
Being that it's Juneteenth and the month of Juneteenth as well, and we're celebrating freedom, that's gotta be great in terms of being free as people. Also, men's health. As we go back and recap some of these stories that we've talked about, we'll kind of highlight on men's health because this is Men's Health Month, Mental Health Month. So great! I'm really excited for today's topics and recaps.
For sure, definitely. And so those episodes featured Reggie Bisor, and we talked about mindset. Brian Colletto, where we talked about autism, and he actually lives with autism and is a professional and content creator. We also had a great episode with entrepreneur and podcaster Dominic Lawson shared about how storytelling can be really impactful in situations with mental health, as far as treatment and just really getting results and making a change with people and saving lives. So that was really a big theme when I went back over the episode. So I'm really glad to dig into this. And then finally, we will take a look back at that episode talking about our mid-year culture review, Black Music Month with Beats Gordy, which we definitely had a great time with that. Oh my God, we were almost here for 2 hours. Going over some really great music stories in the industry and, cool stuff. So,
Right. So we're going to start off with the Juneteenth celebration. Now, as this is just a brief summary of Juneteenth, and Juneteenth was celebrated on June 19th to commemorate the end of slavery in the United States. Even though it had come earlier, it said that it took time. You understand, back in the day when the horsemen came running from. It's not like today where you send an email and something gets through, or you hit Snapchat. Back in the day, it was different. So it took time for the information to come. So this is what happened with regard to the Juneteenth. So in 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced that all enslaved people were free. Over 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln had had his Emancipation Proclamation. So this day has since become more of a celebration of African American freedom and achievement, characterized by community gatherings, educational events, cultural festivals, and reflections in on the continuing struggle of the racial inequality or of the struggle for racial equality and justice. So Juneteenth is both a recognition of the past and a call for action into the future, highlighting the importance of education, empowerment, and remembrance. Now, you cannot talk about Juneteenth without talking about Opal Lee, who is the grandmother of Juneteenth. I'll just go on a little bit of information about her. She was born on October 7th, 1926, and she was a teacher. And after she retired, she became an activist. Now, one thing you want to highlight on her is that on June 17th, in 2021, Biden accorded her. Actually, Biden signed a Senate Bill S 475, making Juneteenth and the 11th federal holiday. And then in 2024, Biden awarded Miss Lee, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civil honor. And right now in Fort Worth, where she resides, she always has a yearly walk, Opal's Walk of Freedom, which happens every June 19th. It's just a 3 mile walk. Even though she did walk from Fort Worth all the way to Washington, D.C., January, she started in October and ended in January 17th. I think I messed up the dates, but um, let me see if I got that right. But with that, she went to petition for the holiday being made with President Obama at that time. And then, as we know now, successfully, it's happened. Currently, she is moving to her home. There's a story behind it that it got burnt when she had moved there, and that was way back when she was 10 years old. This is due to whatever happened, the racism and what we had back in the day. So the house got burnt down. So now they built up her house, and as far as we know right now, she is in her current childhood home that her father had purchased way back
Mm,
when. So this is a good
good.
story coming out from her. And as we celebrate Juneteenth, let's look forward to as we said, racial equality and justice, like what you do in your Work by Accident podcast.
For sure. And you have stomping ground roots in Texas. Is it something that is widely celebrated locally where you are?
Yes, actually, something
Okay.
that which is weird. I think when I came in 20 years ago, people weren't talking about it. I know people from the North and the South had a different idea about it, but somewhere along the line, it's been unified, and now people are getting to know more about it. Especially when Miss Opal Lee went and did her walk and got it to be a federal holiday. Now people are recognizing it and making it part of their staple holiday and staple celebration in our community.
Great. Glad to hear that. Yeah, definitely is celebrated here in St. Louis. A lot of people, organizations have like black business fairs and things like that to allow black businesses to showcase their um you know, items and people gather, fellowship, things for children, music, and lots of celebrations going on. I didn't get a chance to get out there. It was so hot, and I just, I don't know, been just kind of low, chilling on the low, low profile with the events and things. So I missed out. But in the past, I have got out there and attended some. But yeah, we always have a lot of festivals and things outside. Um,
I think it's the fact that when you sit down at home and have your own reflection, doesn't mean going out there, but just sitting down and having your own reflection. is a positive way as you look back at yourself and see what have I done or what part of community do I bring into Juneteenth and what will I do to my future? You know, when you look at all those things, that's when you celebrate it by yourself. And today we're here on the podcast talking about it. So Jen, this is our contribution to Juneteenth.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I didn't look at it that way, so I appreciate you sharing that for sure. I guess always just in my mind, I feel like I should just be out there with the people and the people beating the drums and you know outside or what have you. But we are acknowledging and we're sharing this publicly on our global platform. So yeah, for sure.
It is great. It is a great holiday.
Definitely. And so, speaking of the platform, we have these four episodes that we're going to take a look back at. And that starts with episode 160, which featured our fellow content creator, Reggie Bisor, who is a mental health coach and content creator, as I mentioned. Let's get into a clip and we'll kind of um, take some thoughts in about that. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in with us today. Okay, here's one we will look at from Reggie's episode. Let's see.
People invest their time in you? Why should people invest their energy and their resources in you? So once I got the answer, that's when I started working on my own personal development journey, basically to create the best version of myself. And I always say that I'm a continue work in progress, but I just keep working on that. And along with going on this journey, I'm working on my mindset as well. And then, of course, y'all know I came out with my podcast. I came out with my YouTube channel. So I created those platforms to help others work on their personal development journey, to work on their mindset. So yeah, that's pretty much my background, and that's pretty much the reason why I like to help people with their mindset. I like to coach them through. I like to be sort of like an accountability partner to them as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at the body of work that was put into these episodes, and
Okay. So I love that I talked about accountability going along with the mindset. What I think we were kind of the thought behind that was like, what is mindset and how that can, essentially help someone, why should someone be concerned about their mindset? And like he said, it's about accountability. Like he kind of gave us an example. Have you ever woke up and not been, in the right frame of mind, not energized, not focused, and it really it's kind of starts, and that can just kind of lay out the groundwork for your whole day, or your whole week even. So I thought that was interesting. Let's do one more clip from Reggie's and then I'll let you share about that.
I think this is the point where we play that song, our theme song again.
Let's see. No.
And sometimes, we have thoughts running through our mind and we let our thoughts take over, that type of thing. But at some point, we just have to just get control of our mind, right? And I think that's key when it comes to mental health, because I feel like the more control you have over your mindset, it can potentially make you better as far as your mental health. So basically what I mean is, let me ask y'all this question. I got a question for the both of you. Have you ever woken up in the morning, right? And it can be as soon as you woke up, or if you're doing your morning routine and you say to yourself, I'm not feeling it today. Or you might say, it's going to be a bad day, or I woke up on the wrong side of bed. And when you say that as you're going through your day, that's pretty much what it is. You're having a bad day throughout the whole time. Things are not working out for you.
Okay, I think that was the clip I was thinking of. So, yeah, share on that, Sambaza.
with that clip, it actually tells us how we wake up and look at ourselves. How do you wake up in the morning? Do you wake up and look at it as a bad day, or glass half empty or glass half full? How are you going to take control of your life? Mm, yeah, you may wake up in a bad day, but I think when you listen to how he explains it, when you go back to the clip, or not the clip, but when you go back to the live that we had,
Mhm.
either in whichever one of the socials that we posted it on, you will realize that he tells you, or, advises you on how to take control of your mental health when it comes to when you start your morning. How are you going to look at conquering the whole day? There's a very amount of things that start from the time you wake up to the time you go, brush your teeth or get seated in front of your computer. There's a whole process. Now, at any one point in time, if you're not in control of your mental health, that can really impact the rest of your day. And he encourages you to take control of it. And when you listen to other podcasts that he showcases, it's generally that journey where he gives you your mindset to grow. I think one of the ones we talked about was the lone wolf, and
Mhm.
you can find that online when you go listen to it. We highlighted that, and that is one way of looking at it, or at looking at how you position yourself at work or position yourself in society. So growth mindset was really one of those podcast conversations that I really enjoyed, with the fact that he works with your mental and works with your heart and also spiritual needs all together in one.
Definitely, I agree with that. And shout out to Black men tackling mental health out here in a climate where the stigma is very prevalent. We talked about that on many of our episodes, but I just, definitely want to acknowledge that we have facilitated these conversations that, not only uh, feature African Americans, but African American men who are supposed to be the ones that have these stigmas and barriers or guards up about even having these discussions. And here we are having these conversations with, not one, but two, several Black men. So I just kind of had a light bulb moment on that. And so wanted to
Oh,
shout that out, including you, Sambaza. You definitely shared some of your personal experiences too, which I think is
right.
helpful
Anytime I can.
for sure.
Right.
Definitely. So, well, we definitely encourage you guys to go back to that episode with Reggie Bisor. That was episode 160, and it was about mindset. It was kind of the theme of that particular episode. We're going to move right along and talk about our guests that we had on 161. Brian Colletto, who is a fellow content creator and yeah, podcaster friend. He lives with autism and he is entrepreneur, professional, and podcaster. So let's take a look at a moment from that episode and then we will share. Let's see. I think I have one that talks about how we know Brian.
Oh yeah.
To chat with us today. Brian brings a unique perspective on his show about living with autism. And so definitely wanted to highlight the importance and just have that conversation about living with neurodiversity in our communities. Fun fact is that we came to know Brian in the Empowered Podcasting community on the good old Clubhouse app. So, yeah, shout out to our friends over there in the Empowered Podcast. You I think we see you just you're there just as often as we are, Brian. You enjoy the Empower podcasting, right?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I can't always contribute to the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but I do enjoy listening in.
For sure, definitely. I feel like you can. Okay, cool. So yeah, we shout it out. the Empowered Podcasting is where we met our friend Brian. I have another good one from Brian's before we have you share, so let's do that. Let's see. I mean, what we're finding is that although Brian has autism, his, journey is not too much different than some of the things that we experience. But I do want, and you share in your content, Brian, about, having autism and things that you feel that are not right or being slighted and things like that. So I definitely want to let you have the floor and share about something that you feel is not right about, or something that maybe you struggle with, or you would like something done, or you wish things are different, perhaps is a better way to say it.
Yeah. Well, for one, I would like to have a little more independence. I would like to be able to get on stages and
then there's one more. I meant to do that one before that one, but it kind of goes together. I think you asked about the routines. Let's go there real quick.
I have to rephrase this question. I don't know how to rephrase this question, but I ask of it. Do you have any special routine? Or is this like, there's nothing?
Right. So usually on the weekdays, my routine is I usually get out of bed. I'll use the restroom. I'll usually make lunch, then get dressed, and then head downstairs to the room I'm in now and relax a little bit, pop on Clubhouse, maybe check in a little bit on social media, and then I'll have my breakfast and then clean my teeth and then go to my regular job.
Okay. And then just normal, because it is.
Okay, that's the one. So I'll let you share before I have something to say.
So this part was really well, let's see. I think I was trying to get to know him, and I wasn't understanding when I was talking to him and looking at it, and he says he has a normal schedule, like a Monday to Friday, and he explained all of that. I was looking for, is there anything special that he does? And there's a reason why, and this one you'd have to go back to looking at the autism, living with a child with autism with Denise and Nikki, the Bonvillains. The reason for that is I'm looking at Brian as the older version of the child that we are having right now. What I'm seeing in him, what Brian is telling me what he does is what I'm trying to project and see what will this child be. However, there's one thing that came in mind as I was trying to talk to him, and later on, I figured this out. Nikki, the dad, said the child is on his own spectrum. He looks at things in his own way. What my world is like he said, he wakes up in the morning, has breakfast, uses the bathroom, has breakfast, goes downstairs, listens to Clubhouse, and goes to work. That may not be what Nikki's the Bonvillains are going to experience out of their child. Their child is on their own spectrum. So it is the child, to invite you to what they have as their feeling for that day or their routine for that day. So it's like we have to go around the child's routine. Even though, yes, in the world, there's a specialized routine that they'll have to follow. But they always have their unique self. That's what I was trying to get at and trying to understand him, which was a unique moment for me.
Okay. Yeah, and I liked what I shared about, that we see with where, like I think it was Dominic that said you have to meet people where they are, and that is just such a heavy theme that I've just have been seeing in so many different spaces. Meet people where they are, like literally at work, you know what I mean? In cases where someone may have a disability or condition or what have you. And we can see that Brian communicates very well where he is on the spectrum, as we feel was very advanced, and his day, like I said, didn't sound too much different than what some of us experience getting ready in the morning and we're heading off to work and things like that. But he just learns differently, and I love that he shares about it in his content on his YouTube channel, the Brian Colletto Show. Shout out to that. And he shares about it. So I definitely want to let him have the floor and share about things that he has concerns about. And just and I think we did a good job of showing that about being on the spectrum, like you said, is different parts of it. Where he is different than where someone else is. And even Mr. Stone G, who is a counselor and also lives with autism, and he was on a prior episode and shared about what he deals with. But I think I liked what Brian shared about what he deals with, because he actually has created his own platform and shares about it publicly. Like, how cool is that? And not only is he aware of what his limitations are, he owns that and shares with the world about that, so that for awareness purposes and things like that, and for in his own enjoyment. I thought that was dope. So
Yeah, I loved it. And this also shows you that being on the spectrum comes with different forms and different aspects. There's no telling which one is what. Stone G's is different. Brian Colletto is different, and the Bonvillain's child is also different. So we're having three different perspectives of how to look at. Yeah.
We did. And then I love that, especially in some of Brian's content, he is so delighted and, happy about who he is. And it's not a sad moment, because, we had, a little sad moment with the Bonvillians and just reflecting in what the limitations are. But, you have to kind of see the strengths. This child, if everything he is going through, has learned American Sign Language, that is huge. And that's something that some adults struggle with. And this little baby who deals with the challenges of autism picked that up, and she was able to show him that. So not only like is she superwoman for supermom, educator, and all of that. I was just, really impacted by that. And I, feel that he will thrive. And just be, I think that was a theme, that just because you have a limitation or a challenge, doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to thrive in this world.
Right. I'm hoping we could have gotten like an immigrant who lives here, talk about that. That would have been a nice angle to talk about, if we could get one explaining about how it is, as because here these are people who live here. Now, having come here, your aspect and thinking about these things is way different. But who knows? Maybe we might get somebody, or we might not. Who knows? It's just out there.
For sure. You have definitely some context with being in tune with the African,
African diaspora. Yes,
you are.
Yeah, we might bring them on the show, and they may highlight that situation, because that, I think, will also give a different perspective. And also, it also, when we look at all these different ranges, you cannot specify on one and say, like, this is what you expect. That's not it. It comes in different forms and shape. Just as of now, we have three perspectives. If you go listen to Stone, if you go watch Stone Guy's podcast, there are other people there who are on the spectrum, and he talks to them. and they have their own unique ways of dealing with it and going through their lives. So there's a myriad of things. We're just scratching the surface just to highlight to you who's listening or watching out there to kind of know, okay, this is what you expect. I know it's strange when you see somebody who's different than you. It's normal, right? But
Mm.
at least when you listen and look at the people and see who we're talking to, you're like, okay, it makes some sense.
Yeah. Okay, you want to take a second to look at, we only have a few comments.
Right.
Let's see.
Black Women Stitch, Lisa Wolfork says, I rested today. Happy Juneteenth. See, you took a rest, just like a Sabbath. Rest and enjoy yourself. Get ready for tomorrow.
Okay.
Start another day brand new. Yeah, that's how we go. Ed Campbell says, peace and respect. Welcome, Ed Campbell. We appreciate you every time showing up and lighting up our spaces.
Thank you.
And everyone who's out there too. We love you coming out here, supporting us, and giving us all these nuggets with your thoughts and your questions. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, please. Thank you. We
All
appreciate
right.
that. Okay, so moving right along in the recap, we appreciate everyone who is taking a look at the visuals. And this audio episode will be out very soon on all the places that you can consume podcasts, including our website for this global platform. Okay. So moving right along, we got into episode 162, which featured entrepreneur and podcaster content creator Dominic Lawson, a good friend of ours here, who shared about storytelling and mental health. So let's look at a moment from that particular. I might have 3 or so. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Let me. Is that the one? That's the one. Okay, let's go here first.
Therapists and stuff like that, because they totally get it, right? They totally understand what you're going through, and so they can definitely help, right? And so I think, gosh, it has, I don't know what the number is, it has to be like, over 80% of people who've gone through recovery or whatever are now clinicians or psychologists or social workers or something to that regard, because they get it. They absolutely get it. So community can not only be life-saving, but game-changing.
Definitely.
Can
Thank
the
you.
barbershop play a role in creating mental health awareness?
Absolutely. I've seen many, barbershops, especially in the Black community, where they purposely make it part of, the experience, right? Where, you'll have.
Okay, let me go to this other one. Barbershop. There's one that was about Black America. Okay, here's one.
Like it almost like it's a sense of weakness, is a sense of whatever. I think the bigger issue is the fact that mental health challenges is a thing. Now, we've come a long way from the 60s, 70s, and 80s and stuff like that, right? But we still have a long ways to go. And so I think the bigger issue is not the getting help part, but the fact that mental health challenges is even a thing. Like, that's the part we have to fight first, right? So no, like, again, when I pulled those CDC numbers for research, it's alarming, and it's alarming across the board. So again, if you're in the Black community and you think that opioid stuff is only affecting white people, I'm here to tell you it ain't. It's hitting us hard too, right? Now, one of the things I will like to point out is that, like, some of that opioid crisis is starting, like, the tide is stemming a little bit, like it's starting to slow down, but.
Okay, and then you can share your thoughts on this, Sambaza. Oh.
To get more about the first episode, the first clip, you have to listen to what we're talking about, the barbershops, because I think us men are usually self-diagnose stuff, and you look at, oh, you have a pain in the neck, oh, me too, I had a pain in the neck, what did you take, I took this, that kind of a communication. However, bringing out the barbershop as a place where people congregate and then learn about stuff, that is one of the places where you can create awareness, especially with the mental health, and going for checkups and trying to make sure the men have a safe space where they can ask questions and their questions can be answered. Like, you may not be talking to the barber with a lot of people over there. He probably has a space at the back of his shop, and you'd be like, hey, you doing good, bro? He's like, no, well, we can talk about it, let me give you a cut, and then let's go to the back and have a conversation, something like that. So people have identified these spaces as some of those that may help, first in health and in health, either mental or clinical. One of those does help a lot in the Black community, especially with the Black men. The other part was how we have gone ahead from back in the 60s to where we are now. Mental health was not a thing. And I think I also shared the fact that there was a doctor called Dr. Giconyo who, when there was a health crisis he would come over there and tell people, look, we grieve, but people grieve differently. There's an African way of grieving where now we had to change the way we think and also look at grief in a different manner, that it affects people on their mental health status. One thing I don't think I mentioned this, but one thing that happened, we had this habit of putting gory pictures in the newspaper, especially when bad things happen. I don't understand why they did that in the newspapers, but I remember one time tides changed when editor had to be fired because they put the headline on the front page. Now you're looking at the front page headline of the popular newspaper in the country, where they showed a mother who had, I think it was a bomb blast, and they showed her, in her true self, where it's a bit gory, but you can tell the picture. And this was something that was circulated in the whole country over, at least at that time, maybe say 20 million. The editor had to be fired, and from then on they stopped doing that. They had to change the way they'll take the photograph. Yes, you can take the photograph, but you have to show some type of humanity to somebody, because they're a human being. They're somebody's parent, somebody's child, somebody's aunt, niece, all that. So we have to look at how we take care of ourselves. And so now, like you said, things change on how mental health is looked at. Like you said, where it was back in the 60s, they didn't look at us as and when you say Black African Americans, as people who suffer mental health in our own ways and in our community, based on what we have. I mean, Jen, your podcast, every time when you look at all the things that happen to people, it has something to do with the mental health crisis. And now is when they're looking at it as a crisis, and also making sure that, hey, when somebody's on that level, what are you doing? This is not where you have your, when you come to a situation, you have to look at that aspect. Unlike before, it was just like, well, he's just a man. No, it's not. There's some mental aspect that you have to consider when, let's say, a police officer shows up somewhere, or when a child is acting a certain way, or even a woman, or anybody. There has to be a level of humanity and dignity you accord them. And this ties down to mental health.
Definitely. Yeah, we had talked about doing an episode about mental health in the media. I don't think I know that was part of, our brainstorming sessions. We had plans to do one because there's so many examples, and like you just shared, where it's normalized these traumatic, things, and the humanity is taken out of the equation, essentially, is the point. So many examples of that. So I agree. I definitely agree with that.
I sounded
Um,
intelligent, right?
Look at you! Come on,
Hey,
Sambaza. Come on,
nobody
cultured,
was there.
cultured podcaster from the Republic of Kenya.
Hey, you know.
All right. Let me see if there's one more for Dominic
Uh-huh.
before we mosey on. That one. Oh, you know what? Because he talked about this thing that I thought was really cool. I typed it.
Oh, by the way, guys, for those who are listening in or watching us, you might want to go listen to Black is America. That is one heck of a podcast by Dominic. And actually, he was thinking about taking it out, right? Retiring, and he was pressured to
Yeah.
bring it back. Yeah, so it's worth a listen, and it's PG, so kids can listen to it as well.
And you know what? This one he's actually talking about it. So let's share this one first. I was looking for a different one, but
You gotta. It's like, is this what you started? You don't know what you started, and I told you this before. You don't know what you started, but you cannot stop it.
Clearly,
It's got to be
clearly.
going in.
Listen, I legitimately made Black as America as a portfolio builder, right? Like as the way to say, like, I know how to do that style of show, but because without Black as America, there's no Recovery Replay and there's no Beyond Theory the way it was restructured, right? And so Black as America has done what it was supposed to do, but now it's doing what I didn't ask it to do.
and so actually we need to give some background because some people will say, okay, what is this and what are we talking about? So Dominic Lawson is the creator of a few podcasts. And host of a few podcasts, Black is America being one, which is a really awesome podcast about little known Black history facts. And so it is a narrative podcast. So you have sound design and, you know, music, and it's almost like listening to a real live motion picture. Come on, Orson Welles bag. You know what I mean? Like it's really
It's
it you
like you
know
are like say you're in one room and the TV is playing on the other side. So you're not able to go into that room and watch the TV, but you can hear and visualize exactly what's happening. And if you went in, it gives you a mind of it. It's just brilliant, brilliant.
for sure. And then yeah, so he focuses on a lot of maybe moments from military from Black figures, but it's all about Black history, but not your Black history that you learned in school. We're talking about some facts and figures, hidden figures, okay, of people who really achieved really incredible things that you may not have learned about, and it's set to a narrative, sound design, and really great audio experience, I would say. So he shared about that. So just kind of giving context to what Black is America is. And then also he hosts two podcasts about mental health, behavioral health. And so we had a conversation about how storytelling, which he does the storytelling in the Black History podcast, but even in the behavioral health, getting the person you're talking with, share about what you went through, that whole storytelling concept really is impactful in making headway with mental health. Where you're getting someone who's going through treatment, addiction, or what have you, to share that sharing, that storytelling really can make a change, with mental health. Okay, so we have a few little questions. I tried to give some background, Sambaza.
Oh, okay. Now, I think you've answered the question. What is the question on the floor? It was
Mhm.
about the Black is America. Why is it so vital to know about Black history? Mm, that how okay. So if you are yourself and you're being I am me. I'm here. Where do I come from? That's a question you ask yourself. Why do I behave like this? Why am I different from the next person right next to me, even though we might be the same color? You know, why do I love this particular type of food? Where does it come from? In my table, when I go in the evening or when we greet each other, why do we greet each other a certain way? So that's the reason I would say it's vital to know Black history, because we cannot explain ourselves and know where we're going to. Like right now, when we talk about Juneteenth, right? We're fighting for equality and justice, right? To have parity. But there has to be a history. Why are we fighting for it? It's because back somewhere, sometimes somebody felt that we did not need it. It was something that was not accorded to us as a right. And we were moved from somewhere where basically we're happy. Everybody had a happy family. And people are being taken away and moved to go and satisfy some type of belief by somebody that, you know, we are a lesser human being. Now, at this point in time, we're fighting for that particular narrative to be removed off of the mindset right now. Because remember, this is the history that whenever you encounter somebody, when they look at you, they're going by a history of what they know, but you have to change that. So here's what it is. The positive aspects of our history we have to keep so that we learn them and we say, look, this is a nation of strong people. You know, when you talk about Black excellence, which you talked about on the hashtag Black Twitter episode, you're talking about you know, strong Black men. How do we raise strong Black men? And we specify strong Black men because at some point somebody felt that there were no strong Black men. So that in itself is why we have to go back to our history and look at all the positives. You know, it's food, artifacts, and all that make us special and make us who you are. So yeah, we do need it. We do need it. It's vital to know Black history.
Well said. Well said for sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna come on, you're in your bag today, Sambaza. Okay, so
What?
definitely.
Yeah.
So in our reflections, and what we're doing is a reflection of some of the episodes we did. We kind of did a series without knowing that we were doing a series. We know we wanted to be impactful and talk about these topics that were related to mental health. You had, a personal connection to autism, and autism awareness was approaching us. And so, hey, we, identified that we wanted to attack that topic, and we, were able organically to address it really in a unique and beautiful way with getting, very diverse, well-rounded in diverse meaning different parts of the spectrum being captured, like we just talked about. Brian Colletto, the couple who have a small child dealing with it, and then a counselor, shout out to Stone G, I think it's pronounced Gye. It's the
Yeah.
spelling. And he shared with us, and he, oh my God, was in Australia at the time of that episode, and he, spent so much time with us, sharing. I, so appreciative to those conversations that we had that just really kind of opened the eyes up for a lot of people who may not know what someone who has autism deals with, and things like that. But as I've been sharing about it, I've had people saying, well, yeah, my grandchild has autism, and it's just something that they don't like to talk about. And, you don't want anybody to know that the cousin, but why? You know what I mean? Like, if this is our family, this is our, So anyway, just giving some insight to that. Any additional thoughts on
No,
that?
actually,
Yeah.
you said it all. You summed it up all regarding how we
Okay.
started off and just kind of created some series here with the with a podcast about mental health and being on the spectrum and all these where we get to, and then we got to the roundup.
Okay, so yeah, kind of shifting gears a tad. Right. So this episode here was 163 with our good friend Beats Gordy, who is music historian, music producer, just knows so much about pop culture. I was just thinking he would be the right person to have this conversation with, and we got into a nice little mid-culture, what do they call it, mid-culture
Review. I think it was a 6 month cultural review about what has happened,
Yes.
and iconic things that have happened within the last 6 months of the year.
For sure. And so, yeah, with Black Music Month in June, that was kind of cool. So let's get into a few moments. And again, we appreciate all of you guys for joining us in the live episode. And our audio episodes will be out very soon. Okay, here's something.
Was either caught doing something or did something, and in the episode of the show, the view of them totally changed. I remember the episode of Different World when Gina had a boyfriend who beat her, who was a rapper, and then his image changed within the show. I remember on Parenthood, Drew Hill was on there, but it was a guy that Zaria's friend was dating who was abusive, and that, I mean, we all grew up with Big Red from Five Heartbeats, and then all of these things are happening within our lifetime as adults, and we see them different. You know what I'm saying? It's not nothing where we could say, oh, we could just scratch it off and just say, oh, there's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's all it is. No, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? There are people that have to be held accountable for their actions. So I think it's something subconsciously that we've been seeing played out that is reality. You know, I don't care how many allegations come out about.
Oh yeah, that was a Diddy thing, right? Diddy done
Yeah.
it. Well,
Yeah.
I know we're taking it lightly here. It's not something that we're taking it lightly. However, I think we have to put out this statement stating that if you're a victim of sexual abuse, there's a number to call and reach out to the people who will assist you with it. I think it's 933 of the number.
988.
988 is the number for you to call and get some assistance. So back to the issue, we were actually comparing as you see, Beats Gordy is a historian, and he was giving us information about what had happened back in time with what is happening right now, with Sean Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy, or Diddy, whatever his name is, how we looked at it as a society. And I think Tiffany said something about it. Tiffany Bati said something about it, whereby it did happen. Some of them were caught. These are the ones that were caught, but probably plenty more have had these situations. It's just that nobody ever caught up with them.
Right.
It's unfortunate. Now it's being highlighted, and I think if more people come out to say it, even though there's a statistic out there regarding how women who have been abused would report or head back to the victim, really, it's a hard thing to let go. It's like the Stockholm syndrome at some point, where you view the person who's abusing you as your savior or almighty, something like that. So that becomes a different thing. But that was one of the issues that we're talking about. There were a lot of things that Beats Gordy was highlighting about the year in review. Do you have any other?
Let me share another here.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I have two more.
And I was brand new in this country, so I'm walking into a store, and I'm looking for the album. It was the CD for 50 Cent. It was at Best Buy. So as I walk over, and I'm standing there, I see it, And then this white guy comes up to me and asks me, "Hey, have you seen where the 50 Cent album is?" I looked at him like, "What? Are you crazy?" Then I actually pointed to him, and at that point, I was like, "Oh well, people do listen to 50 Cent, so it's across the board." So that was one of the learning lessons that I had to realize.
That's how you know that you. Oddly enough, that's how you know that you made it when you have a lot of white fans. Tupac said the same thing. He said, "I appeal to more white fans now that I'm successful, and I use that as my advantage because sooner or later they're going to be older and they're going to be hiring my friends and my friends' kids, and I want them to have this idea of certain black people and not this."
Okay, let's do one more before you share that I have ready. Let's see. That was that one. Okay. Hey, shout out to Knife Wonder. But Victory, speaking of Diddy's line, the way he opens up the song, I mean, it's kind of like...
Yeah. Now, I know you heard about the Rolling Stones story, right?
Rolling Stones.
Okay, so Rolling Stones went to Bad Boy, and they wanted to actually get photos of Biggie to put on the front cover of Rolling Stone in 1997. Diddy said, "Don't do that. Put him on the cover instead." And that's the infamous cover with him having Biggie written on his chest.
Yeah.
That was the cover that was supposed to be for Biggie, in honor of Biggie, but they changed it and put Diddy on the cover to promote No Way Out.
This man.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, sadly.
And there's an article. I'm reading it. It's a long article. I think it's by New York Post or something.
Okay, so that was more on the Diddy situation. We had one about the Kendrick Lamar, but any additional thoughts?
No, I want to know. No, the Diddy part. Yeah, it's still something. It's a lesson. It should be a lesson to the youth that are out there. There's something not to do. And even in today's world, it's not about the cameras being out there. It's just you behaving right, doing what's right. That's all that is. Whether you're in the music industry, I know people say, "Oh yeah, it happens in the music industry," blah blah blah. But no, just do right. Be a man and act like a man. I know this is kind of sexist, but just behave the way you are supposed to behave as a human being. Actually, let's put it like this: behave like the way you're supposed to behave, like a human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no I think there's power in walking away or knowing when, a situation is not serving you, and that sometimes you do just have to step away and remove yourself from the situation, and you shouldn't allow anyone or prohibit someone else from walking away from the moment either. But there's a saying that what's done in the dark comes to light, and it's kind of true. We talked about there may be other allegations of people doing the same kind of thing behind closed doors, and there's no video capturing it. But it just seems like, the chickens will come home, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
True.
It's just, sadly looking back on, someone that you admire, we talked about like some of our favorite Diddy moments and songs and, before these things were made so publicly. So you might wonder like, yeah.
We touched on R. Kelly too, right?
We did. So, but yeah, and I was actually thinking about that the other day. I think we had a question about, what song would you miss since, these artists are being canceled. And at the time, I didn't have anything I would miss about R. Kelly. And I came up with one that I would miss. And that was hard because I just cringe at R. Kelly right now. I really do. But I Believe I Can Fly. I was thinking about how the lyrics of that song is just really inspirational, and it's a beautiful song. I mean, he was a talented songwriter aside from being kind of a dumpster of a person, but yeah, that's probably one I would miss. So, but other than that,
I mean, he had some good songs, well, no lie, but just
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
surrounding
But
him.
you know, like I said, some of them are so sexual in nature that those are the ones that I just kind of have a hard time of enjoying, even though he's in jail. I don't have any, joy in playing "You Remind Me of Majib" or "Sex Me Part 2." You know what I'm saying? When someone potentially, yeah, I
Do you
can't.
remember? By the way, do you remember that thing he did? Nobody has ever done that. He created I don't know whether it was a song or something that he had in 7 parts.
Yes, I think it was more than 7.
That was genius. That was genius.
Was
No, I don't think anyone has ever come up with something like that.
Yeah, it was creative. It was different. I
And
guess
that was
I
the
can.
time when he came with the Pied Piper. That's when he started calling himself the Pied Piper, and that's when everything started with that song, the Pied Piper. Mm.
So it was definitely different. I think he definitely, realized or had a way of understanding moments to capitalize, as an artist and things like that. But in so many different genres, we talked about the genre crossing with the Beyonce conversation, but he literally, wrote songs for Celine Dion, and then turned around, wrote gospel songs, then turned around, worked with these rappers. So I mean, he really kind of was a multi, not to sit here and praise him or anything like that, but just
Step in the name
saying
of
that,
love.
people
The
who
name of,
do these
remember?
types of things, huh?
Step in the Name of Love.
What? I do remember Step. I remember that one.
Yeah, sorry. Hope you were saying something.
So anyway, yeah, don't even. I think we spent enough time on the
We got to talk about the Kendrick Lamar
Kendrick Lamar.
and Drake beef. Guess you have a clip on that? I know. I do. Look, I have a story to tell, an aftermath.
Okay, so let me find it. I do, but where did I put it? Let me see. I told you we did that one. We did that one.
I have an aftermath of the story on
Hang
that.
on, maybe this is it. Oh shoot. Here we go. Hey guys,
Oh,
and welcome. That's not it. That's the whole thing. Wait a minute.
We don't even have to talk about that. I'll tell you what.
Okay.
So we were talking about everybody knows the beef, Kendrick Lamar and Drake. So the song itself, the one that he brought, Not Like Us, it's been playing in my head. I hear it, and don't understand. So the next day, and I think if you go watch here, you see my expression when you're talking about it. I'm like, okay. So the next day, I decide to talk to my son about it. He's 14 years old. So we're sitting in the car, and I ask him about the Kendrick Lamar beef. Man, this boy gave me an analogy. Exactly everything that Beats Gordy was saying, he was telling it to me like copy, word for word, how it started off, how the beef started off. Oh, there were 3 of them. I don't know, the King's thing. And then it came up to there. And then I asked him, what about the song Not Like Us? Now, I ain't gonna say this. The mama may not like it, but the way when he pulled up that song, it had all them curse words, and I looked at him, and he was like, "Oh, going on." He didn't sing it, but he felt he was wrong. But I wanted to hear it, and also, and I kind of know, what kind of he needs to tone down on the curse words. But anyway, the fact is, he actually knew the whole story, and he told me the whole story, which I should have asked him, but. Shout outs to him. He gave me the whole 411. I was like, wow, okay.
I told you.
But who would have known? I thought he was just this innocent boy who he's geeky sometimes. He's with stuff, but not on this one. No, not on. He basically broke it down.
Okay. Here's some clips, or here's 2 more. I'm not sure. One is about, I think it's about the AI and the Kendrick Lamar thing, but we'll go ahead and play these 2. Let's see.
came out with a freestyle, well, not freestyle, but a feature saying, "Is it just Big Me?" And that's what started.
Okay.
So, with all of that being done, I would say Kendrick won because he did what a lot of people didn't expect him to do, and that's drop consistent records, and they were good records. So you had Drake put out a diss after a number of months, number of weeks. Cole put out one, but then he resented and apologized. And when Kendrick dropped his, he dropped another one with AI, with Tupac and Snoop Dogg's vocals. So the thing I didn't like about that is a lot of people who are not musicians make AI records, and they'll take someone's verse or take someone's voice and they'll rap it in their cadence.
Okay, so that was the Kendrick Lamar one. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then I got a lesson, part 2. You can imagine you're driving, you're looking at this boy, you're like, what is he? Wow.
I mean, they're literally, it's all over the internet, it's all over YouTube. You know, everybody's talking about it. I think even like on the late night show, you know, there's jokes about the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. So it's literally like a big thing.
Oh, by the way, shout outs to you. On that particular day, you had your Beyonce moment. You were dressed up. If you see the clips, yeah, you were dressed up. Just like, yes.
Oh, you noticed it?
Yes.
With the, in the Dominic clips.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned that, and some people was like, "What are you talking about?"
We did. Well, you wore it on when we did Dominic's, but then we talked about also her country record when we were with Beats Gordy too.
Right.
Which was nice to hear about Beyonce and what she's doing.
It is. I mean, the record breaking, she broke some huge records, like never done in her career. So where she is for her, you know, for her age and everything. I mean, it's just really, you know, something to acknowledge for sure. You know, and she won some awards, but those numbers are just incredible for this project. So when it gets to be the tour, it's really going to be something special for sure.
So I'm gonna put out on a limb and say this: when you go to that concert, when you go to the concert, you're gonna come up and tell us about the concert, how it was, and everything, and share with us some pictures and some videos of the concert.
Oh, what?
I know you're gonna go to it.
That might be cool. Look, I can put together a Renaissance moment because I do have my videos. But I actually put some of those in my reseller business. And, you know, you can like put little mini videos. And I think I actually like wore my Beyonce wig and and you know, and play some of my videos walking in because I got to be on the floor for a Renaissance show. We'll just pray that the coins is lining up where I can make it. I'm gonna just come on, Beyonce. Come on.
Look, this is 2024. We had a pandemic. We survived the pandemic, and I'm sure it'll work out. If we did go through that, you're gonna make it. We're gonna see you in that concert. So,
yeah, that's what.
When is it coming onto your side of town?
It's not out there yet. It's not.
Oh,
it's not out there yet.
You haven't put on the dates yet?
No.
Oh, okay. So she's just prepping you all out. Okay.
Right.
Okay. That's not. Hey, it starts off that way, and then now you just get your coins ready. And look, even if you're in the topmost up there.
No. I can't do it.
You want slow seats right down there. I mean, if she, okay. If she spits, it's gonna hit you. That's what you want. Oh, she sweats. She sweats.
Yeah.
I just want to be there. If I'm there and I can see it, and I was at the stadium, there's a difference. That's just me.
I know. It's just being on the floor is just another moment. So anyway,
it's a different experience. Yeah, it's a different experience.
It is. It is.
Right.
So, but yeah, Beats Gordy, good times with that one. We appreciate him for sharing with us. We have plans to bring him back to kind of do an end of the year. So, that will be a good one to catch.
I wonder what's going to happen
Uh,
between now and the end of the year. Let's see what scandal might show up in the music industry.
Well, I was sitting here looking at these mugshots of Justin Timberlake.
Oh
Her good white brother that comes to the cookouts. I was like, no, Justin. Poor guy.
I mean, in the
But
neighborhood, why don't I just walk home or ask the neighbor to drive me home or call for an Uber
yeah.
or just get somebody? I mean, I'm
We
Justin
could have
Timberlake. We don't
personal
understand.
car service. Like but some people they just want to. I'm just gonna get in the car. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Stop. We just thank
Yeah,
God no one was hurt and injured because getting behind the wheel when you are not under the influence is not a good
not
decision. You know.
don't drink and drive.
Hello.
You always,
That's right.
if you want to drink and you want to drive, call an Uber. That's what they're there for. It'll cost you,
Right.
it only costs you like $100, $200 to drive you home if it's that far. But when you get a DWI, that's about $15,000 plus a record.
Wow. And
So why?
that's if people could be hurt or
Exactly.
killed.
Yep.
It's a very
So
serious matter with that.
right, right. But all in all, I think the recaps for all the four, what I can say is
Hmm.
they were great episodes that we actually touched on, and um, the just the follow up of everything. When you look at it, everything lines up to they're all intertwined with each other. If you're talking about Dominic Brian Colletto and Reggie's mindset, this mindset, mental health, autism, and then we have music part of it. I think all that ties into one, making it whole as what we should do.
Hmm.
So I liked it. And I liked
Yeah,
today's
for
episode.
sure.
And as we go back and look at what was there, and I had my immigrant moment with
You did.
and yeah, so it was great. It was great. I love these four episodes that we looked at today.
For sure. And we appreciate our guests who were so gracious enough to spend their time with us, where they could have been with their families or friends. They definitely extended themselves in this way. And we definitely don't take that for granted. We appreciate everyone who comes onto the platform. And we had some people who's been on before, like Dominic, who came back a second time. And Reggie, I don't think Reggie was on before, but he did contribute in
Mhm.
our collective challenge in the past. And so he has stayed in contact with us, and reached out when I sent the call. So yeah, we appreciate that.
Right. Oh, and to finish us off, you can always get us on. I Sambaza Podcast is found on all socials as Sambaza Podcast, and like and subscribe our episodes so that we can get to reach as many people, and we can also give you notifications when we come on, because sometimes some people have said that, oh, I don't get the notifications. Well, if you subscribe and request for a notification on YouTube, you will definitely know when we're getting online, because we go onto YouTube. And I think, well, mine is Twitch. Twitch is the new one, but we're everywhere that you get your podcast enrichment. Let's say you listen or you watch. So Jen, yours is walk by accident. How can they find you?
Yes, and so you guys can find me on wokebyaccident.net, which is our website for the platform, and also on all of the major podcasting platforms, including your Apple, Spotify, even Pandora, iHeartRadio. We are out on all of those global platforms as well.
Man, you are really out there. That's awesome.
For sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's some requirements that you have to have in place before you can be on iHeart. So, if you're getting started in the podcasting game, reach out and, we'd love to have conversations with content creators anyhow. But, sometimes just navigating this whole space can be, challenging, but it definitely is rewarding as well. So.
Right. And hey, people who are in there, thank you so much for showing up. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send us emails. We all through our socials, let us know how we did today, what you would think we do with the show, how we can improve it, and what else you'd like to hear or see from us. So with that, Jen, take us home.
Okay, for sure. So if you found today's episode, as Sambaza said, please consider sharing it with your friends, or family. Our collective awareness and advocacy play a crucial role in creating positive change, which is so important to us. Stay tuned for more engaging content, and we look forward to continuing these important conversations in the future. So with that, you guys take care. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out and also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.